was actually the first service plan where we looked at the ferry network as a mode. The last service plan was the first time that we looked at subway. So we've kind of been trying to expand the reach of our coverage in each of our last few service plans to try to be more inclusive of our different modes. We do have a proposal to modify the last trip from Hingham at 7:40 p.m. and from Boston at 8:30 p.m. On average, throughout the year, that trip averaged 48 passengers or so, though that year was partially pre-Greenbush, and we found that ridership has dropped off since Greenbush opened. And it's a little hard to measure since ridership is very seasonal, we found, so it fluctuates. Many people like to ride in the summer when the weather's beautiful and you can have, the wind in your hair, but when it's too cold, you don't really want the wind in your hair, I guess some people. We also are proposing that we reduce the level of service provided on certain holidays. For example, Martin Luther King Day and President's Day, we would suggest that we would operate no service, similar to some of our other major holidays like Christmas and some of the other big ones. And then on smaller holidays like Patriot's Day, Columbus Day, Veterans Day, and the day after Thanksgiving, when we've had not quite as much of a drop-off in ridership, we would suggest that we operate a reduced holiday schedule. We also have some proposed changes to the Quincy Hull commuter roads service. For the non-summer schedule, so the fall, winter, and spring schedule, we would operate slightly reduced frequency in the midday. Every 90 to 120 minutes is appropriate for the levels of demand that we observe. On weekdays and weekends, we would also have some span service changes. So the last boat would depart Quincy at 6:30 p.m., Logan at 7:05 p.m., and Boston at 7:20 p.m. On weekends, the first boat would leave Quincy at 9:30 a.m., and there'd be only one stop per trip at Logan Airport, which is actually very similar to the summer schedule where we only have one stop per trip at Logan. For the summer schedule, we would begin it a little bit earlier, Memorial Day weekend, rather than the third week of June. This is actually, we're hoping that this would be an opportunity to bolster ridership in this quarter, since we found that people are very responsive to the improved summer schedule that we provide. And also, when the weather's nice, we're more likely to attract riders. So we're actually hoping that running the summer schedule a little earlier will help to grow ridership. We would eliminate a Friday-only trip that operates at 10:35 p.m. It averaged, I think it was 3 or 4 riders per trip. Evening service would operate with one boat after 7 p.m. rather than 2. And the Saturday-only trip at 10:40 p.m. would be eliminated.
There are many times when I've wanted to take that commuter boat from Hull, and I will actually have to drive to Quincy to take the boat into Boston, simply because on the route coming back, it goes back to Quincy. Why is it that it goes right into Quincy instead of always making that stop in to allow for more commuters on Hull?
Not quite direct to service Hull on its way to Quincy, and a lot of Quincy passengers, support the direct. It is a slightly longer trip to service Hull because we have the 5-minute layover at Hull, and then it is an additional travel time. It approximately takes probably about 10 minutes more on people's trips who would go between Quincy and Boston. But we have, and we continue to add more trips to Hull because the Hull ridership has steadily been increasing over the past few months or the past few years. It's never seen a decline in service.
So is that true about Hull, that it's actually been increasing?
Well, for this summer we converted in the morning a trip that used to go in the morning from Hull to Quincy and to Boston. We made that a direct Hull to Boston trip, and we added another direct Hull to Boston around 9 o'clock in the morning. And that was done for the summer.
But now you're proposing to cut in Hull, right?
No.
Isn't that last boat being cut coming back into Hull?
No, there are 2 midday trips that stop at Hull, and there's potential that we may change something in that. But there's no plans to reduce any peak ferry trips out of Quincy or Hull.
But non-peak might be reduced, right?
Potentially, to at least keep one of the midday trips. There's 2 of them there on
I'm here tonight to oppose the cutbacks in the commuter boat. And I know I see several riders here that I've seen for many years who utilize that, especially the move. I don't think it's appropriate to use the 7:40 boat going in. You can cut that all you want, the problem is you're going to get the boat into Boston to come home. I think this is really representative of what we're seeing. People are cutting back trying to meet the MBTA mission, which is to take public transportation. And here we are tonight proposing to reduce some of that service now, which on what I think is some incomplete numbers. I also asked today, and if you can speak to this a little bit more, the Quincy changes, and I don't know if there's any Hull boat riders here. There are some die-hard boat riders in the town of Hull. There's only 2 runs in the morning and 2 runs in at night. I don't know if any of the changes will affect those 2 runs in the morning or at night, but if you have any information for that, and if you do think it would, I would ask you to hold a hearing in Hull relative to that, to let those individuals be heard, because I don't think, given the way it was framed on your website, that it looks like a Quincy-only change, which could have some ripple effect to the communities, to the Hull constituents.
Do you have any comments that you'd like to make on the service plan? Again, you're welcome to submit those to us at serviceplan08@mbta.com, or you can mail those to MBTA Service Plan at 45 High Street, Boston, Mass. 02110.